Today I'm going to give away a free t-shirt, ask and answer a question, and reveal the books I bought this week. How y'all doing? I'm Victor, and you are watching a Comic Hero Show. Now kick that intro! Edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. This month is Blood Cancer Awareness Month. Now I'll touch base on that a little later on, but for right now, it's time to give away a free t-shirt. Alright, in last week's episode I asked, until the 1970s, which comic book publication did the Comics Code Authority ban from using werewolves and vampires? Well, the correct answer is Marvel Comics. And 5 people have answered correctly, and because they've answered correctly, their name's been entered in a drawing for a free tee. And that drawing takes place right now. So the winner of the free tee for this week's episode of the show is Tatiana Mason from Spring Hill, Louisiana. Congratulations, Tatiana. Win yourself a free Comic Hero tee. Alright, here's the question for next week's episode, and this is a DC question. It's actually a Darkseid question. Darkseid as one of the villains in the DC universe. What is the name of Darkseid's half-apocalyptic, half-Amazonian daughter? Now here are the hints. The first hint is that this character made her first appearance in Divergence #1 and was created by Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok. The second hint, this character's name is a noun that means a thing that is eagerly pursued or sought after. The third hint, this character's name is also the cup or platter used by Jesus at the Last Supper, and in which Joseph of Arimathea received in Christ's blood at the cross. Alright, the fourth hint, Monty Python and the Holy Blank. And then the fifth and final hint, Holy Blank by Jay-Z. Everyone who answers correctly be entered in a drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. So, I gotta ask. Any questions?
Questions I walk around in. Questions I didn't thrive in. Questions I will survive in. Questions.
This question comes from John Nix from Monroe, Louisiana. He asks, why can't the X-Men comics be as good as X-Men 97? Well, John, let me answer this the best. I'm going to go ahead and answer this right now. First off, that's not fair. And let me tell you why. Because comics and then what we see on the big and small screens are two completely different things. I mean, that's like comparing apples with oranges. Yeah, and let me explain. Comics tell the true story. What we see on the big and small screens is loosely based on what we read in comics. You know, when the one thing that made X-Men 97 and then also the original X-Men series in the 90s, what made them great was that they took classic story arcs that have already been written. Some of the best story arcs, like Days of Future Past, Inferno, Zero Tolerance. I mean, I could just go on and on with some of these classic story arcs that both series have used. And then these showrunners put their spins on them. And then, you know, that's the same thing for a lot of comic book movies. You know, these screenwriters, they can't just use what's been written word for word, so they just put their spins on them. Now, I'm not one of those comic book nerds that's going to steer away from TV shows and movies that comic book movies like they're the bubonic plague or whatever. No, I'm very open-minded, and for the most part, I've seen a lot of great stuff, especially at X-Men 97. And I noticed the Inferno story arc, and I noticed the Zero Tolerance story arc in season 1. Story arcs that now I've never read Inferno, but I did read Zero Tolerance. As a matter of fact, I have the entire Zero Tolerance crossover for X-Men, and I bought that right after I graduated from high school. But anyway, those are two completely different things. It is not right to have to compare those two. I mean, the comics have come, the X-Men books have been kind of lackluster. But with every story arc that I've read, but here's the thing. Yeah, they might have been lackluster, but there was always a message behind each X-Men book that I've read. And with the Age of Krakoa, as lackluster as it was, it kind of taught me one thing. Or I noticed one thing, that while they were living on that island, all the mutants all around the world were living on that island, especially the good mutants or the X-Men related mutants going up against the mutants who were all about self-preservation and all this stuff. When they were living on that island, they came to the conclusion that all those years of fighting each other were for nothing. Because it doesn't matter what side of the fence that they're on, the rest of the world still hates them and still wants them dead. So they finally all nipped it in the bud and realized that they're all they have. Now with Krakoa, and even though Krakoa is gone, they still feel the same way. That has not changed their point of view from the realization that they had while they were living on the island. That's why you have, in this new direction for X-Men, that's why you have Magneto, the very first villain the X-Men ever faced, and then the Juggernaut, which is Professor X's stepbrother, fighting alongside the X-Men as opposed to fighting against them. Instead of, dog eat dog, it's all about unity now. It's all about, protecting a world that fears and hates you, but then also protecting your own. Which has been something that both sides of the fence before have been avoiding since day one. They finally understood what needed their purpose. So there you go. But again, you cannot compare comic books with what you see on the big and small screens. That's complete. That's totally uncalled for. It's totally unfair. And one thing about me that I've learned from this hobby is that you have to be a very deep thinker to read comics. You cannot allow yourself to be closed-minded. You cannot allow yourself to to be subjective or to be selective. You have to have an open mind. Period. All right, really loving these questions y'all are asking me. Y'all keep them up. I'll have another one for episode 497. And my rules when it comes to the any question segments. The questions can have anything to do with comics or anything within the realm, or they can have anything to do with me in terms of the hobby and in terms of the show. But please, no tasteless or personal questions. I will neither ask nor answer them on this show. Ever. All right, let's get to the comics I bought this week. Comic books I bought this week. All right, here we go. First up is Absolute Power Origins number 3. Absolute Power Task Force 7 number 7. Action Comics number 1069. The Amazing Spider-Man number 58. Batman the Brave and the Bold, number 17. Chasm, Curse of Cain, number 1. Chasm, Curse of Cain, number 2. Detective Comics, number 1089. The Flash, number 13. Green Arrow, number 16. NYX, number 3. Phoenix, number 3. Power Girl, number 13. Rogue Sun, number 22. Star Trek, number 24. Thundercats, number 8. Titans, number 15. Ultimate Spider-Man, number 9. The Uncanny X-Men, number 3. And finally, X-Force, number 3. Alright, that's 20, which brings the total number of comics that I've watched since December of 1997 to 13,149. Alright, well, I hope y'all enjoyed this week's episode. And here's a question again for a free tee for next week's episode of the show. What is the name of Darkseid's half-apocalyptic, half-Amazonian daughter? Now, here are the hints again. The first hint is that this character made her first appearance in Divergence number 1 and was created by Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok. The second hint, this character's name is a noun that means a thing that is eagerly pursued or sought after. The third hint, this character's name is also the cup used by Jesus at the Last Supper and in which Joseph of Arimathea received Christ's blood at the cross. The fourth hint, Monty Python and the Holy Blank. And then the fifth hint, Holy Blank by Jay-Z. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. And congratulations to Tatiana Mason from Spring Hill, Louisiana, who won a free tee on this episode. Now, this month is Blood Cancer Awareness Month. Now, blood cancer affects the production and function of blood cells. Most of these cancers start in the bone marrow where blood is produced. Stem cells in the bone marrow mature and develop into 3 types of blood cells: red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. In most blood cancers, the normal blood cell development process is interrupted by uncontrolled growth of an abnormal type of blood cell. These abnormal blood cells or cancerous cells prevent blood from performing many of its functions, like fighting off infections or preventing serious bleeding. Now, there are 3 types of blood cancers, and the first is leukemia. This is a type of cancer found in blood and bone marrow, and it's caused by the rapid production of normal white blood cells. The high number of abnormal white blood cells are not able to fight infection, but they impair the ability of the bone marrow to produce red blood cells and platelets. The second is lymphoma. Lymphoma is a type of blood cancer that affects the lymphatic system, which removes excess fluids from the body and produces immune cells. Lymphocytes are a type of white blood cell that fight infection. Abnormal lymphocytes become lymphoma cells, which multiply and collect in lymph nodes and other tissues. Over time, these cancerous cells impair the immune system. Now, there are 2 types of lymphoma. There's Hodgkin's lymphoma and there's non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And then the last one is myeloma. Myeloma is a cancer of the plasma cells. Plasma cells are white blood cells that produce disease and infection-fighting antibodies. Myeloma cells prevent the normal production of antibodies, leaving the body's immune system weakened and susceptible to infection. Now, if you're watching this and you have beaten blood cancer, you are currently fighting blood cancer, or if you're the family member of someone who has lost their life after fighting valiantly against blood cancer, I love y'all, and this episode is for y'all. All right, this is a blood cancer awareness comic hero tee. If you would like one, you can find them on IamTheComicHero.com/shop for $17, and I will donate half of each purchase to Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. All right, here's the road ahead for the show. On next week's episode, folks, it's the 11th anniversary episode of the show. I'm sorry, but it seems like the closer I get to the first week of October, I get really excited, but at the same time, I'm very humbled. Because next Wednesday will mark exactly 11 years since I started doing the show. And for those of y'all that are friends with me on Facebook, y'all get to see the very first episode of the Comic Hero Show on there. And then y'all come back, because in about 2 days later, I'm going to do the 11th anniversary episode of the show. It's going to be epic. And right now, I want to show y'all the 11th anniversary Comic Hero tee. Check it out. Now that y'all seen that, if you're watching this directly on YouTube, what I need for y'all to do is leave a positive comment. If you do so, I will enter your name in a drawing for an 11th anniversary Comic Hero tee, and I'm drawing 5 names. And for everyone else, I'm going to now as I'm doing this episode. It's Friday. It's Friday, September 27th. But as y'all are watching this, it's the very next day. But I'm going to, but on Sunday. Say it with me. Sunday. I don't know if you said it or not, but anyway, I'm going to post the 11th anniversary Comic Hero tee on every social media outlet that I'm on. If you all have liked the Comic Hero fan forum, y'all got a chance to see it before anyone else. And if y'all haven't do so, go ahead and leave a positive comment or a like or a love, and your names will be entered in the drawing as well. Then on episode 497. This has been a tradition on the show since day one. I'm raising awareness of breast cancer. Then on episode 498, I'm raising awareness against domestic violence. And I'm also going to feature a mystery pop-up segment where I raise awareness against bullying. Then on episode 499, which is the last of the 400s, I'm raising awareness of multiple hereditary exostoses, and I'm doing a mystery pop-up segment where I'm celebrating Halloween. So when y'all watch this episode, this desk is going to be draped and dripping with Halloween decor, and I can't wait to do that. Oh, I'm going to keep saying this until it's, I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it because we're over a month away, but meet me at the first annual Louisiana Delta Comic-Con. It's on November 2nd at the main campus of Louisiana Delta Community College, which is on 7500 Millhaven Lane. If you don't know where that is, it's right down the road from Pecanland Mall. It's from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. I'm going to be one of several guest panelists there, and there's going to be a lot of great veterans. There's even going to be a cosplay contest for all you cosplay enthusiasts. So, as Loretta Lynn would say, y'all come. And please do, because this is only the second Comic-Con in North Louisiana alongside GeekCon. And we want to make the first annual Louisiana Delta Comic-Con one to remember. And one that, and a con that will keep on going as the years go by. Alright, if you're watching this on YouTube, welcome. As soon as you're done, hit subscribe. If you're watching this on the East Texas Comic-Con Fans Facebook page, welcome. And as soon as you're done, go on YouTube and hit subscribe. If you're watching this on the Comic Book Lovers Facebook page, welcome, and as soon as you're done, hit subscribe. And if you're watching this on the Louisiana Delta Content Creators Facebook page, welcome, and as soon as you're done, go on YouTube and hit subscribe. All right, I'm Victor Noli. I'm the Comic Hero. I'll see you next week for episode 496, the 11th anniversary episode. So until then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero.